you guys want more land? I will give it to you for free. Hello, hi, my name is Njeri, and the Lord has called me to build a Christian retreat center in Kenya. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first ever video, and in this video, I want to do an introduction of myself and of the project that I'm going to be working on, which is the entire purpose of this YouTube channel. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. So let's get to it. Like I said, my name is Njeri. I am a Canadian. I was born and raised in Kenya, but now I am living in Canada, and I have lived in Canada since the year 2013. The year 2013, the Lord flipped my life around, and he moved me to Canada on a full scholarship, and I mean extra full, God size full, above, beyond what I could ever think, ask, or imagine. One of the benefits of this scholarship is that every year they would pay for me to go back to Kenya to see my family. And in 2015, I went back home for the first time after 2 years. And while I was there, my dad knew that my scholarship also gave me a monthly stipend. So my dad told me, why don't you take a little bit of this money that you get and start investing here back home? And I was like, cool, because I didn't know where I would live after my studies. So I started to invest a little bit here, a little bit there. And even when I didn't have a job and I was looking for a job, I paused and then I came back to it. And I did this month after month for 10 years. Finally matured, and it was a significant amount of money. And at this time, by the year 2024, I had given my life to Christ after having a radical encounter with him. So when I had this money, I knew I needed to bring it back to the Lord and ask him what he wants me to do. August of last year, I started to pray and ask the Lord, what should I do with this money? He didn't tell me right away. He took months to tell me, in fact. What he did instead is that he took me on a journey of teaching me about obedience. And he used the story of Abraham and Lot. And the revelation that I got from the Lord at this time was mind-blowing. And maybe in a separate video, I can share about how the Lord got me to obey. So after months of asking and just waiting, this year in January, I finally heard from the Lord. And all I heard while I was praying was retreat center. So I'm a software engineer. I don't build physical things. I know how to build things. I know how to build code. I don't build buildings. But the Lord gave me this idea. And not only did he give it to me, he started to orchestrate things so that I could actually make this happen. The first thing he told me to do was to take time off of work. And I didn't know what to tell my manager. How do I go up to my manager and tell him I have to take 6 weeks off of work to go back home to buy land because God has asked me to do that? Before going to my manager, I prayed and I asked the Lord. I said, Father, if this is your will, please give me favor because this is a very unusual ask. And I was scared to ask my boss to do this. But when I went up to him, it was supposed to be like a 15-minute meeting. It was very impromptu. In 5 minutes, he was like, you know what? Cool, that makes sense. I will help you do that. And this is only the favor of the Lord, because even when it looked like it was not going to happen, my manager fought for me with the HR processes. He told me how to be smarter about this process. And just like that, I got time off of work. And at this time when I'm going home is also when the Iran war is starting. I need to find a flight, but flights are like $3,000 at this point. And I tell the Lord, I will not pay $3,000 for this. I would hear the Holy Spirit just say over and over again, Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. I'm like, cool. On a random Tuesday, very close to my time to go home, I go and I buy a flight in the morning. In the morning, I buy a flight and I buy a one-way flight through Qatar. And I don't watch the news. So I send this to my parents and they're like, you know you can't fly through Qatar. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a thing. So I cancel this ticket and then I go back to the Lord. I'm like, Lord, I'm sorry. I should have obeyed. And that afternoon, I go back, same website. I see a return flight that is 1,100 Canadian dollars out of nowhere. I had been searching for weeks. But on that Tuesday afternoon, just like the Holy Spirit had said, there was my flight. So I take my flight and I go back to Kenya. And I'm going to Kenya. At this point, I have told my parents, I'm here to buy land. Where I'm buying land, I don't know. We will find out together, which is kind of like the vibes of this YouTube channel. We will find out together. So I go back home to buy this land, and my dad and I start looking. He calls around, tries to find some companies that sell land. We look at one or two places, but nothing really works. One of the days, my dad calls one of his old associates and he asks him, do you know where we can buy land, a big piece of land? And in my head at this point, I'm thinking 2 acres, surely. I don't own any land. So we're looking for 2 acres, let's say. And he's like, you know what? There's a town that is near the Tanzanian border. You can get really big pieces of land for this amount of money that we had at this point. And it was not a small amount of money, but still, land is expensive. So I thought, surely, Lord, 2 acres is enough. Once we find out this place where they're selling the land, one morning, my dad and I wake up to go to this place. And one thing I should mention, before I had left Canada to go to Kenya to find this land, I had asked the Lord and I said, Lord, what is the strategy to find this land? And he had given me a word. And I think I'm going to keep that word to myself for now until the Lord tells me it's okay to share. So going back, in the morning, my dad and I wake up at 4 a.m. and we're about to set to this place. It's far. We want to go and come back. So we wake up at 4 a.m. I was not looking for it, but on every single road that my dad and I took to this town, the word was like on random buildings, on random cars. And I'm like, oh, okay. God is saying something here. We go, we see this land, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful land, but I'm very introspective at this point because I don't want to miss what God is doing. And I also don't know what you look for when you're looking for land. So I'm very introspective. And once we see the land and we're having lunch, I have a moment with the Lord and I ask him, Lord, is this the land? And he reminds me, because I had forgotten, that he had given me this word that I was seeing everywhere on our way there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So after a while, it looks like we might actually not be able to buy this land. And at this moment, my dad comes up to me, and I don't know why he asked me this, but he asked me, do you believe this is the land you need to buy? And I tell him, you know what? I believe this is the land I need to buy. If you ask me, I think the Lord just wanted me to affirm with my own mouth that this was the land that he had been talking to me about. Even when it looks like it's not working out, the title deed cannot be found, I'm still very calm. And at some point, we are like, okay, we'll look for another piece of land in that area. And we start doing another search. And then someone, a random person, calls my dad's associate, and then my dad's associate calls my dad, and they're like, okay, we found a piece of land. And we go back to the city to see where this land is, and the land is in the exact same piece of land that I had seen, but this time it's like a reseller. Previously I had seen the land owned by the original owner, but this time I go and I see the land that is owned by someone he had previously sold to. So we go, we see this land, and I meet the owner. It's not 2 acres, it's 4 acres. So already the Lord is doing bigger than what I had in mind. And when we're going to see this land, I have a chance to talk to the seller, and I tell him my story about how I have been saving this money slowly by slowly for 10 years. And he is so impressed by my story that he decides to sell me the land, despite the fact that he said that he could have found someone who could have given him more money. So I end up with 4 acres of land. And after this, my dad is like, okay, let's go back and meet the community, because they're a Maasai community and we live far away. So it's good that we have a good working relationship with them, so that in the future they can take care of the property when we are not there. So we go, we buy a goat and drinks and food, and we go to this bush, literally a bush, and I will put a video here, and we eat and we break bread with them. And the original owner of the land that I had initially seen, he is so impressed by this gesture that he comes up to us and he's like, do you guys want more land? And we are like, sure, how much will you sell it for? And he says, I will sell it to you for the same price that you got from the other guy. And he knows as well that he could get more money for this land. But at this point, he is very happy, very elated just by this simple gesture of coming to break bread. And so we end up with not 4, now we have 7 acres of land. And at this point, the surveyor will send you a map showing you how the land has been sliced up. So when we get this map, I see that right next to the 3 acres that we just bought, there is a small half acre that is kind of awkward to sell. So I randomly asked my dad, what will this man do with this small piece of land? And my dad, he calls up the guy and he's like, what are you going to do with this extra piece of land? And guys, the guy just says, I will give it to you for free. So in Njeri's mind, I was going to have 2 acres. Now the Lord has taken that and he has made it 7.5 acres of land. And the entire point of this YouTube channel is to document what the Lord is going to do with that 7.5 acres of land, unless he expands this mandate in the future. I believe the Lord is still doing something that is much bigger than me, which is why he has called me out of my comfort zone to run a YouTube channel and share this process. And I believe that he might call some of you to come and share in this journey with me. And I can't wait to see what the Lord will do with this land, with this YouTube channel, with the community that he wants to build here. So if you are interested, if you feel that nudge by the Holy Spirit to be a part of this, then join me, like, share, subscribe. I have never said those things, but just like you, I am looking forward to see what the Lord will do. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.